Okay, so this video here is, I'm just double checking I'm recording. And I am. Okay, so this video here is how to make a template for a cube. And I may continue the video and build the cube. But I'm going to show you how to make a template for a cube. So there's two different ways to make a template. When I'm in class, I challenge my students to try to figure out how to make their own template for a cube. Think about it. It has 6 sides, and what design would you make? What template design could you make to construct this form? And then you have to start to consider the tabs. So here's 2 different versions of how to make a cube, and I'm sure there's a third one. I think I had a student kind of create this L shape that worked some unique way in the past. But the trick is, let's just talk about this one for a second. So this is kind of like a cross shape, right? And this tab here would glue onto this edge. So sometimes I like to say A will glue onto A, because at some point I'm going to ask you to make your own templates. And if you can figure this out, you can take that knowledge and apply it to an invented form. So this would be B, and it would connect to B. This would be C, and this would connect to C. This is D, and this would connect to D. I believe this is, once you take this apart and put it together, you'll start to notice that this, I believe, connects here. So you only need 1 tab for 2 edges. So if 2 edges are going to meet, you only need 1 tab. It's going to glue that edge together. There's a couple ways of putting tabs on. As long as you have a tab for that 1 edge, you're good to go. So I believe this is here. So this would be E, and I think this is E here. And I'd have to figure out this one, which I think goes here, and I think this one goes here. So this would be F, B, C, D, E, F, and this would be F, if I can write more clearly, and this would be G, and this would be G. So again, when you start to figure this out, so this one might be a little more confusing. I have never made a cube using this method. It might come together better, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure what tab goes where. So I'd have to cut it out, try to put it together, and then I would undo it, and then I would write down A. This goes there, or this goes here, or whatnot. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this design, I'm going to show you how to draw it on a sheet of paper, and then I'm going to start to cut it out, depending on how much time I take to do the drawing. So here's a nice new sheet of paper. So what you're going to be making for this is a 2-inch square. 2-inch square means that it's going to be 2 inches on all 6 planes. Everything is 2 inches. Okay. So a couple ways to do this. The first thing I want you to do, just don't randomly start a square anywhere on the paper. You want to first start off with a horizontal line. And if you can see right here, I did this trick in the previous video, but do you see this little red line here on the edge right there? A little white sliver is showing. Trying to have that little white sliver of paper even all the way down, and then I can run a line across. Another way of doing this is you can just measure with a piece of paper. You can measure the distance here. Notice I'm still showing the line, and I'm going to mark off right where the paper line is. I'm going to run it here to see if it's perfectly even, which is pretty good. All right, so I know that that is a perfectly horizontal line. Another way of doing this is you can just measure 3 inches down, mark it, measure 3 inches down, mark it, and then run a horizontal line across. I just randomly guessed this section here because I know I'm gonna have to go 2 inches up, and I just kind of eyeballed it. Okay, the next thing, which is kind of a nice, simple approach because of this graph ruler. If you notice, I'm putting this dark red line right below this other line that I created, this graphite line that's already there. Because the nice thing about this ruler, it's already 2 inches big. I'm just gonna go over just a hair. And because I know it's perpendicular, or I'm gonna make a line going down, which is perpendicular to this line. And I know all these lines are perpendicular to one another. So I don't really have to do that measure twice, draw a line method again. And I can do the same thing here. So you can kind of see, I'm gonna put the ruler right on that line. And I'm taking my time because I'm just like inching and inching, and I'm really taking my time to make sure that that graphite line that I drew before is just barely being seen. I'm holding the ruler down, and then I'm gonna put a line on this side. So I already am halfway there. Now I'm gonna put a line here using my ruler. See the graphite line that's still there? I'm just gonna put a line on this side. And now if you wanna be super technical, you can measure this all out. It will take you a little longer, but that's what you're gonna have to do with other templates. And we'll probably do that with the pyramid template. So far I'm creating my cross. Sometimes this takes a little longer than desired. And I'll make another one down here. And I will make a third one up top. Notice I'm lining this up with that graphite line right on it. And then I go this way. This method I showed you really have to line those up well. If this is slightly crooked, this line's gonna be crooked, and you're gonna put your cube together, it's gonna be slightly off, which is probably a good mistake to make. You need to make mistakes to learn not to do it. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do here is I'm going to add the tabs on. So in this case, the tabs, there's gonna be 2 tabs here. I'm just gonna put an X where I have my tabs. 2 tabs here, 2 tabs on the ends. That way I don't need and then I think there's a tab on the bottom here. Oops. And there's no tab up there, and I think that's it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs. Okay, now with the tabs, because you have this graphite ruler that came with the kit, 2 little spaces is 1/4 inch. So what I'm gonna do is, if you can look at this, I'm just gonna move this over. If you can see this line follow this line that I'm pointing with my graphite pencil, I'm gonna line that up with the line that I created. And basically I'm gonna make a 1/4 inch tab. So I'm just gonna draw a line straight up. I'm gonna draw a line straight up here. And if you look here, I'm just making this tab and this tab. And I'm gonna also make this tab. So you can kind of see that I did this and I did that. I'm gonna make another tab right here. And I'm gonna turn it sideways and just repeat, because it's symmetrical, I'm gonna repeat the same thing. Symmetrical meaning it's even on both sides. Right here, and right here. Now, if your tab is a little off, it's not a big deal. There's one more tab at the end, at the bottom of this cross shape. So it's down here, down here, down here. Now, if you look at my template, I need to put these diagonal lines in. Again, it doesn't be perfect, but a nice little trick here is I'm gonna line this corner up with this corner, and I'm gonna get 2 diagonal lines in pretty quickly. I'm gonna line this corner up with this corner, and I'm gonna get 2 diagonal lines in. So I got these almost finished. I'm gonna line this corner up with this corner, diagonal line, diagonal line. Line, this corner up with this corner, That's got a diagonal line there. This corner up with this corner. No, wait, no. This corner up with this corner. And I guess I can do the other side too. This corner up with this corner. So I have almost all of these completed. I did not do these. When I put this corner in, I should put this corner in. This corner and this corner. Actually, I could have done something like that. That was bad. And then this one, honestly, you can just kind of go in there and just make this up. You don't have to like have a perfect corner. You just throw it in there. Again, the objective of cutting the corners off is when you glue them, you don't have that corner coming out of your form. So as long as some of it's cropped off, you're good to go. Okay, so this is our design. And if it helps to clean it up for your own sanity when you cut this out, go for it. But I have a pretty good idea of what I need to take off. Now, the other thing too, the reason I use a 4H pencil or a 2H pencil, remember there's a 2H there, which means hard, it just means a harder graphite, and it doesn't make a dark line. I'm trying to make somewhat of a darker line. I'm pressing a little harder so you guys can see what I'm doing. However, if I was making these and I was making multiples of these, I would use a really light line. And then after I score and cut this, I would get my eraser and I would let me just get this guy, and I would erase those lines, and I could put it together, and you won't have any lines on the exterior, because when you bend this, you bend away from the cut. And that's what we did with this guy. And if you look really closely, I don't know if you can see, but you can kind of see there's the score that we did in the previous video. I bent this way. I didn't bend into it. I bent away from the score, okay? So the next thing, let me just see how we're doing on time. 12 minutes. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this guy out. And this might take me a little while. So I think I might make another video. Before I'm cutting this out, I think I'm gonna score. I'll just continue with this video. I'm gonna score this line all the way up. Notice I keep rotating the paper and I just score and I cut in one motion towards my body. I keep my fingers out of the way. And so I scored that. The other two score spots will be right here. That's a score. That's a score. That's a score here. And anywhere there's a tab is a score. I already got those two tabs. I don't think I got this one. And after you cut this, you might find yourself like, oh, I forgot to score this one thing. So you can still score it after it's cut out. It's just easier to score it while it's on a big piece of paper, and then you can cut out the rest of the pieces. This might be painful to watch. I see it starting to form now. So I don't have this with me, and actually, a small 6-inch metal ruler, which I thought I had, which is great for doing these little tiny tab things. If you have this big ruler, it's like turning a propeller of an airplane around, just to do these, like the small little tab line. The 6-inch ruler, the metal ruler, is what I usually use. I turn upside down, so it has a low profile, and you can see the lines better. And it's a faster process. Notice when I'm cutting, I know I need to stop at certain points. So I'm just like kind of thinking a step ahead. And so this video doesn't go way too long, I think what I'm going to do is just cut this out and show you how it folds up. And then in the following video, when I show you how to make the pyramid, I'll show you what this looks like glued together. Getting closer. I cut that out. Yes, I did. That's done. That's done. Yep. Thought I cut this out, no? I did. I did cut it, it just didn't cut through, so I'm following the groove right now. And remember that this is a tab, so it's going to be hidden, so I could be a little loosey-goosey at that part. But I guess I didn't cut it off. Almost there. And it looks like I need to cut here. And then I cut the tabs off, and then I'm ready to go. Now, if you accidentally cut a tab off, don't start over. You can just tape the tab back on. Remember, these are just exercises, so you get the kind of system down, and you can start to eventually experiment and explore form, inventing your own kind of things. That's done. One more cut and this thing is almost ready to go. Alrighty. Don't need that. So there is our template. And notice I'm folding, I cut here and I'm folding away from the cut. I'm just kind of like, reason being is because you're going to have a cleaner edge when the form is finished. Otherwise it's going to have like a bend to it, and you don't want that. So all this stuff I scored. You can kind of see. So when you put this together and you glue it together, you just do one edge here, you tape it, then you go over here, you glue it, you tape it. Now again, I had a student use like a Q-tip, which I might even try doing myself. You glue it here, you tape it, and so forth and so on. This last one has to go inside, and that's the tricky part. You might have to bend it in and angle it up and then push it down and then just tape it. and hope it holds. But in the end, you have this nice, perfect 2-inch cube. Craftsmanship is critical. And if you want, this was what I was talking about before. You could erase these lines. Now that you've put them in, you can erase them. You can use a bigger eraser if you want, if it's easier. There's little X marks that I put. Once you erase these, it should look pretty clean. Can't even see it anymore, okay? I probably want to take that out too. All right, until next video.